I hear often from guitar players that they'll tune, every single string is in tune, and then when I go to play, it's like, why is it not in tune? I just tuned it. Why does it sound wrong when I then start playing with the band or playing along with a song on the computer or whatever, you know. Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to my channel. My name's Justin. I play guitar on songs in Nashville, and today I want to talk about how you're tuning your guitar. Are you thinking of a few things that could really help if you're frustrated with how it tunes, you know? It might not be that your tuner is inaccurate or that you just need a setup or something, although those are big factors for sure. There's a few things I want you to think about when you're tuning. But before that, I just want to say, I'm sorry it's been so long. It's been like a month. And I mean, from the second week of January on, I've just been completely slammed with recording and booked on sessions. And I'm not complaining. It's been really great, but I haven't really had time to do anything for YouTube. I've been filming a bunch of other stuff that I'll let you guys know about in the future that's not going straight to YouTube, but I just haven't put out a video in a while. So here it is, the return. You may notice in this video there's no ground noise floor in my audio. I got a lot of comments over the last several months that there was just a constant sort of hiss or something in my microphone. And I was like, I know what that is. It's not hiss, it's my dang laptop's fan. I've been running on a i9 MacBook Pro from 2019, and I got 8 years out of the previous MacBook that I did all my work on, and I thought that I could get that far on this one. But it turns out that it was rearing its ugly head in my YouTube video, in my YouTube audio, and then also on acoustic tracks that I was playing. Like, I couldn't get away from the dang thing. And you just hear the fan going nuts. Apparently those things run super hot, and I put it up on blocks and all this stuff, and finally I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna get 8 years out of this one. I'm only gonna get like 5. So, which is decent, but yeah, I don't like that trend. Hopefully I can get another 8 years. I got an M4 equipped MacBook from Costco. So I was running iMovie and Pro Tools and an external monitor and a couple of hard drives, and it was just dead silent. So pretty sweet. I don't have any noise in my acoustic tracks. So tuning your guitar. I did a video on this a while back called 5 Easy Steps to Tuning Like a Pro or something like that. And there are some things that are in that video that I think are really useful that a lot of people don't think about. You know, what position you're in when you're tuning, always coming up to the note, tuning to the capo. If you're going to put a capo on your guitar, which I'm not judging anybody for doing that. I do it. If I want to play, you know, this kind of stuff, if I'm playing a riff like that in the intro to some song, and the artist is like, well, it'd be nice if we came up a half step. Like, I can't do that without a capo. I can't play open string with the third above. I would have to go. And that's different, right? Like, that sounds different. That's not as youthful and rock and roll, right? So, not judging anybody for using a capo. But also, I also want to talk about how you play after you tune. You know, I hear often from guitar players that they'll tune, every single string is in tune, and then when I go to play, it's like, why is it not in tune? I just tuned it. Why does it sound wrong when I then start playing with the band or playing along with a song on the computer or whatever, you know? And some of it has to do, I mean, there's so many things, but here's a checklist of things to run through and make sure you're not doing. You got to make sure that your guitar is set up. you know, that it's intonated well. Having an open string in tune does not guarantee that everything on the fretboard is going to be in tune. So the easiest way to figure that out is to set whatever action you want. You know, that's a combination of truss rod and saddle adjustments. I would, if you want to start, experimenting with that, very, very, very subtle adjustments are going to go a long way. And let it settle for a few minutes. Tune it and retune it, especially if you make a truss rod adjustment at the end of the neck. You might also just have a setup person that you go to do all that, and that's great. So get that out of the way. Make sure that's squared away. It's so subtle. I mean, even if the nut is just slightly cut wrong, you'll have everything in tune, open string all across the guitar, except like the first 3 notes will be sharp on the fretboard. Have you ever had that happen? That's infuriating. It's like you can't play a G chord and then a C because that note is sharp, like wildly sharp. And sometimes it just happens seasonally for me, and I've got to touch it up or send it off to somebody to touch it up, you know? I mean, that's a culprit too. That first fret G sharp is usually, if your G chord sounds right, your E can sound wrong. So let's assume that all of the setup and intonation issues have been taken care of, okay? So a few things to check, and this will overlap a little bit with that other video, but I thought of some other things that I think are useful. The next thing you should think about doing and getting used to, we're tuning from below. We're always coming up to the note. You know, like there's so much pressure at the nut and at the saddle on the string, especially if there's strong angles there, that you definitely don't want to decrease tension to your target note, because if something gets hung up, it'll kind of pop into place, and then all of a sudden your string is out of tune, you know? So it's better to go below and come back up. And for me, it's like always. I wrench the tuning knob real quick and then come back up. It's just automatic. I mean, you want it to be in tune kind of everywhere. So you're coming up to the note, your guitar is intonated, it's set up well, it's comfortable to play, or it fights you in that like right way. Like there's a cool way for a guitar to fight you where when you dig in, it kind of just, it pushes back a little bit. It doesn't just go, meh, and you're pulling things out of tune and whatever. What position are you tuning in, okay? Do you, like I will notice on some guitars that have necks that are easy to move, like an SG or an older Gibson, or some Fenders that have the a maple neck that isn't super big. Like if I'm on a session and I'm sitting back like this, and then when I tune, I lean up and I kind of straighten way up and I look at my tuner and I tune, and then I kind of go back. Man, just the guitar going from like straight up and down to like this with me holding it and it being under my arm, I can pull it out of tune. I really can. So it's ultra important that you tune in the position you're going to play in. And I think that if you play standing up and you tune standing up, you're kind of already taking care of that. But if you're sitting at home and you're playing along with, you know, a YouTube video or some audio or whatever, you might be kind of leaning on things like, listen to this. I'm just gonna play. Here's just a G chord. Now here's a G chord where I'm kind of leaning on the guitar. You can hear it. Like if I'm hanging the weight of my arm, like with my thumb on the neck, I can hear it kind of being pulled out. And when you're tuning, you're not doing that. So be conscious of how much even the weight, how much are you using the neck to prop up the weight of your left arm or your left hand. And then how much are you kind of, you know, pushing on the guitar when you play. Some people do it to great effect. One of my favorite guitar players, Bill Frisell, is just kind of... like he almost gets a, man, it's like a really subtle harmonic tremolo, you know? There's just a bit of pitch warble from him just constantly wrenching on the neck and pulling it all over the place, and it's really cool. It's super cool. It's like on a guitar that, when I'm playing a guitar that has a Bigsby, I can't hit anything and just let it ring. I have to, you just have to wiggle the Bigsby arm. But being conscious of all of that is really important. How are you holding the guitar when you're tuning versus when you're playing? And if you're sitting, do you have your arm over the body of the guitar in the same way? Do you have your hand hanging on the neck? And I think the biggest point that I made in that last video, 5 steps to tuning like a pro, it bears repeating. Tune how you play, okay? So one of my friends, Jeff Sen, used to be a guitar tech for a really long time. He was out with, he's been out with a lot of different people, but I think, if I get this right, he told me a story when he was on the road with Winona, and at the time, Willie Weeks was playing bass with her. And Jeff is so detail-oriented and so observant that when he would check everybody's instruments for, he might have just been Willie's tech, but I think he was, man, he might have been Tom's. Tom was out on that gig for a while, Bukovac. He might have been both of their tech. I don't know, but if I remember the story he told me correctly, Willie Weeks was like, man, my bass is always in tune exactly when I get it from you. And that hasn't been true of other techs. What are you doing? And Jeff said, well, I watch how you play. And I tune with the bass in the exact same position. And I try to use the same attack as when you play so that it matches how you play the instrument. And it's so simple, but it's not something you think of, you know? Some people, it's like, well, nobody wants to hear me tuning, so I'm going to tune real quiet, you know, and just... But then when they play, they're, you know, like that's different. And depending on your string gauge and how heavy your pick is, how heavy your picking hand is, how hard you're fretting when you fret notes on the neck, that's all going to play into how much intonation like you as a player will have, okay? So your guitar could be perfectly set up and it could be perfectly in tune, and then you come along and start banging on it and it's going to be a little bit different. So some ways to mitigate that are just paying attention to how you're holding and using the thing. Pay attention to how the velocity you tune with, and tune in the exact same position as when you play. All right, I got a song here. Haven't said that in a while, and I'm just putting some finishing touches on it. This is a kind of Texas artist rock thing. If he releases it, I'll update I'll update the description and let you know. A lot of the stuff that I play on this channel are demos, or it's stuff that never gets put on a record, because I just don't want to deal with, I don't want to get in anybody's way who hires me. I don't want to get in their way of how they want to release the stuff. I don't want to put their song out before they drop the record. So I've got the vocal muted. There's going to be a bunch of other stuff on this. I think there's going to be fiddle and steel. But this song is kind of a rock thing, and the changes, like the chorus is so it's that sort of thing. So I've got two guitars, two kind of telly things doing that left and right. And then I thought it'd be cool to have a sort of modern, but still Texas-y kind of version of a Keith Richards playing like a... You know what I mean? It's not quite the open G 5-string thing that he did, but it's a version of that. It kind of hints at that and is inspired by it. So I'm going to finish one little part in the second chorus, and then I'm going to hop to the outro and play the hook. I have a guitar doing the hook where it's like... That's the hook, right? Triple check the old tuning. That's kind of a cool hammer-on, right? Just playing an A chord. 7th fret on the D string, 6th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the B string, A, C sharp, E. And just sort of hammering on with this like flip of my, like bending the knuckle backwards of my ring finger. Kind of cool. So anyway, here we go. Vocal muted. This is this last part, and there's going to be a solo here that I already played, but you can hear some of it. So then it goes to a bridge. Hear the toms. Let's go to this outro and see if we can't play a lower octave to that. All right. There we go. Nope, nope. Boy, that's hard to play low. Should I try it here? I think that's going to be how it has to go. Okay. again. Beauty. And there you have it. So cool. This is a special guitar. Not only is it a good sounding Gibson, but it actually intonates really well. There's a guy in town named Steve Unkefer who did a fret job on it for me because the frets were just completely toast. He used to work at Rock Block Music, which does not exist anymore. Moment of silence. So what I love about this guitar versus a lot of Gibsons out there is that it's actually capable of being in tune. There's just something about, like, I don't know, like when you get into playing tellies or strats or jazz masters, there's something about that extra scale length that just makes things really speak really nicely. Like listen to Sonny Landreth on a Strat, okay? All those harmonics of him being just perfectly in tune in open E with a slide and fretting things behind the slide and doing all the crazy stuff that he does. It just sounds so good. And I just think that all of that extra goodness around the fundamental that you love is so much more apparent on a Fender. And some of it's just that they're brighter, but also some of it's that scale length and the way that things can be. I just think they can be more in tune. I don't know. Maybe it might be a construction thing. I'm curious of your thoughts. So anyway, I hope this video is helpful. It's nice to be back. I'm going to have a lot of stuff coming down the pipe that I think is pretty cool that I've been working really hard on. So we shall see. I'm doing another course with my friend Brett. And then I'm going to be doing a bunch of content on my own where we just sort of dive into everything it takes to be the kind of musician who other people want to play with, you know, where you can contribute and be creative and hear things. That's a really big deal, really big deal. So lots of good stuff on the horizon. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you later.